Coming up in this video, mediumship development training tips. If you have any questions as we go relating to the topic of this video, drop them in the comments.
And while that's going to be entertaining with some free, juicy information, we do have an offer at the end to take your metaphysical business from basic to bodacious, but only if it works for you. If you're watching live, give us a hashtag live tribe.
And if you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay fam.
Yep.
I just learned more about kangaroos and wallabies than I ever thought possible.
What? Kanga was my nickname in high school.
They can get a little aggressive if they're hungry and thirsty.
I get aggressive if I'm hungry and thirsty. So if you're just getting to know us, I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From ZenWestGarden.
.com.
I want to answer Starcy, why did they call you Kanga? Because I was a kangaroo in a school play one time. It just stuck. I was Kanga from then on.
I'm going to have to call you Kanga now.
I don't think David has ever heard that story. No.
Brand new story. Thank you, Australia. Starcy says, you guys make me happy. Having a sad day, but now I'm smiling.
I want to give you some smiles. I just imagining me in a giant kangaroo costume. If that made you smile, then
not my fetish.
No, we get
so many different questions about mediumship development that we wanted to answer a few of the simple ones today, mainly about laying the foundation for developing mediumship in a proper and reliable way that is not going to get you overwhelmed.
So I love the word proper. It's a proper way. So the reason, that was probably a terrible accent, but the reason is because we get a lot of questions from people who have opened up Pandora's box without first having a foundation or really even knowing that there is a foundation to build.
Yeah, it could be a lot more fun than you maybe are currently experiencing, and that is what we want to clear up with a few simple guidelines today.
Yes, because even if you don't ever come study with us or be in Zen Ed Academy, we want you to have sort of a foundation to start whatever system you're learning from. And it really is simple.
And
so
alleviating some of that overwhelm that you experience when you open that damn Pandora's box.
Because there doesn't need to be overwhelm. Sometimes it's challenging, but you can handle anything that is thrown at you, I promise. So what we are saying is that many people start at step 10.
Turn it up to 11.
Right? Step 10 without realizing that there are steps 1 through 9, and then get discouraged because they let the tiger out of the cage without learning anything about tigers first.
Run, Forrest, run.
Yes.
It's a tiger.
I don't think there's tigers in Alabama, but
I think there might be. If they might have a zoo.
So before you can enjoy your job as a tiger handler, you have to learn about tigers first, right? Okay, let's do this.
All right, so now it's time for the good stuff. 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 So here we go.
That's our non-copywritten intro music. You're not allowed to use that. Tip number 1 is the psychic foundation.
First of all, you've got to understand that there is a foundation upon which to build mediumship skills, and that foundation is your psychic skills, right? So everyone is psychic to some degree, right? And we talk about this all the time. Psychic gifts, mediumship, it is all a function of your mind, right? And you can train your mind.
Absolutely. So, but expanding into mediumship and stabilizing it takes a little more intentional work.
Right.
Some people are more naturally prone to mediumship than others.
Right. But the first step is to develop your psychic skills, okay? Because these are the building blocks of mediumship. That's how mediumship information, which is spirit information, comes through, is your psychic gifts, your psychic skills, your psychic senses.
So even before that, though, before you even start to develop your psychic skills, okay, we're going to take it down to the bottom, the concrete pad of the building.
To the base.
Right, because you don't want to build a house on sand, right?
I recommend that.
You've heard that nursery rhyme, the man that built his house on the sand and the brick. You don't know that
Nope.
one? Wow, okay. So before you can develop psychic skills, you have to learn to listen, and that's the concrete pad.
Right.
I'm not paying attention to you right now. By turning down the noise of everyday life, even for a few minutes a day. And this can be challenging just to get to this step, but this is the concrete pad under the psychic skills.
Absolutely, the basic foundation. Even underneath psychic skills, which is underneath mediumship skills.
Right.
So start simple to create the habit.
Right.
Okay.
Until you're craving that habit, right?
Yeah. Until that habit becomes your normal every day and you feel lost without it. So it could be keeping a journal. It could be taking a meditative or a mindful walk.
It's not as hard as you think. Take the time to think and connect to your inner knowing. We're not even at the psychic level yet. You're taking that minute for yourself. It is simple, but it is really it is necessary to build that habit for the first foundation, your concrete pad, okay?
Right. Then, once you have kind of connected to yourself, to your thoughts, and to your chill out zone, then you can start playing with some basic psychic abilities, okay?
Learn about your clairs. Okay, you've all heard about the clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. Start playing. There's plenty of fun little exercises that you can do to start activating those clairs one by one.
And make it fun. And my question is, who is Claire? And what does she have to do with any of this?
I know what an eclair is.
I want an eclair.
It's at the French restaurant down the street that also has cappuccino. He's so easy.
I am so easy.
Really, these are the building blocks of mediumship.
So you've got the concrete pad, right? The basic foundation, which is your quiet time.
Then you've got your walls, which are your psychic abilities.
Walls and roof.
And then you've got your paint and decorations, furniture. That's your mediumship. So it's like you can't really have all that stuff without the foundation.
Yeah, so let us know if that helps you to make more sense of this in your mind, of the structure.
So you can imagine an architectural masterpiece in your mind, right? Some kind of crazy building, and you can even draw it on a piece of paper, and it's brilliant.
Right.
But to build it, you need to learn about foundations and framing and structure and plumbing and HVAC, which is air conditioning, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
And to make it a reality.
And also heating for those of you in the colder parts of the world.
Yeah. Hit the like button 5 times and
subscribe right down here. If you want more, don't forget to turn on the bell.
Today, I'm going to show David where the button is so he's not like...
I know where the button is. The button's over here to subscribe.
He's flailing about.
I just don't know where the bell happens to be.
Stay in your own space. Here's your line.
I have no lanes.
Tip number 2. The next step is to develop a personal construct for mediumship.
Personal construct.
Okay. And there's basic ways to do this, but before you can really understand what type of mediumship you're going to develop into, what type of medium you are you more physical, are you mental, do you do motor mediumship, what is your special spice, you need to create a base construct to begin your practice.
That's a construct of deep base.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Many developing mediums need to feel a sense of safety when they make the leap into the unknown because it's scary, and creating a construct with your intention does 3 important things.
Number 1, it helps your mind to focus and begins to create neural pathways for this energy to interface with. You're basically setting up your electrical grid in your head for spirit energy to communicate with.
Because there is a certain amount of training the body to be receptive to the energy, so that there's techniques for that. So number 2, it calms the emotional body, which can hijack your work if some of you have experienced that.
Dysfunctional, right? Or if you have any unresolved emotions in your emotional body. Then we've got 3, it creates a safe and controlled space, right? Which also on the DL begins to show you how powerful you actually are to create that safe space, because you're the one that just did that. You created that.
And I think this is an important part of creating the construct and returning to it and setting it up, because along the way you figure out how powerful you are. When you first start working, you feel kind of subject to the energy. It's bigger than you are. Along the way, you realize, oh, I'm a much bigger part of this than I realized.
I'm more powerful than I ever thought possible. It's amazing. I don't even know what that was, but I channeled it. You witnessed it.
That was like a really bad martial arts film. So 2 elements to this construct are creating and opening and closing a personalized ritual of some kind.
To start and stop your practice.
Right, to signal the mind that you are beginning practice and ending practice.
And this can be something that fits within your personal spiritual belief system, like a prayer, for example, or it could be as simple as opening and closing some kind of a mental or psychic or mediumship door of some kind.
And so for us with students, we like to see what fits for you in your personal system, because that is so much more important than powerful than us saying, now you have to say this specific prayer to open the door or this specific thing to close it, because that doesn't fit for everybody. Right. For some people, they need something mental that's like a visual, a flower opening and closing. Everybody has something different that resonates with them. So find something that fits with you, because I have seen things that are super, like the old school spiritualists. They had a super religious-y sounding prayer that opened and closed the doors. And if that fits for you, then that works for you. For some people, that doesn't work. So they might have had traumatic experience with religion. And they might just need some other kind of thing. So basically,
understanding the basics and understanding the foundation underneath it and the purpose of these different rituals that are created helps us to create different things that work for different types of people, okay? And to help you call that out and bring that out and create that for you, because you get to create your own construct.
It's what makes you feel powerful, not what makes me feel powerful.
Exactly. It's never going to work. If it just works for me, it's never going to work for you necessarily.
So the basic thing is an opening and closing ritual of some kind when you first start practicing, when you're working on the walls and the frames and learning how to paint.
Power on, power off.
Right, because, and these are kind of training wheels that over time you're going to integrate, and this is just going to naturally kind of step in, step out without having to go through all of the steps.
In the beginning, you set the foundation, you set the construct, you use the ritual, you use the habit, and then over time it integrates so you don't need the habit anymore.
This is natural.
Right. So the second part of the construct is meeting what we call a gatekeeper guide, okay, in mediumship, which is basically your mediumship's personal assistant, bouncer, bodyguard, phone operator, all into one. The purpose underneath this is to create a state in your mind where you feel safe, supported, and a place to go to for answers.
Ginger is saying, mine is visual, light switch on, light switch off in my mind. See, that's super simple, and that's what,
massively effective.
I like simple, but some people need like more of an involved ritual, and that's okay, as long as the ritual doesn't override the purpose of what it's for.
Right, and understanding the purpose underneath helps in creating that construct that works for you.
So I'm going to give you a little bonus tip about rituals.
Bonus tip.
I see a lot of people making rituals overly complicated and fear-based. So if your ritual, whatever ritual you're using, either before you leave the house or before your practice, is overly complicated and there's a lot of fear behind it, like I've got to do my ritual, this certain kind of thing, then we're talking about spiritual OCD.
Or bypassing.
Right. So make it simple, beautiful, and something that is meaningful.
Okay. KISS.
That's
Keep it simple, psychic.
Psychic is spelled with a P. And thank you, Ginger, for letting us know where the bells are.
It still doesn't tell me where the bell is.
So that I am not in danger of having my eye poked out. So when I was ready to expand my mediumship, I reached out to a mentor, and she was a traditionally trained spiritualist medium in her 80s. And it was really fun because she was been around the block and she knew her stuff. And everyone has unique challenges as a medium, and we find that when you unfold, so do all the things.
Right.
Your emotions, your fears, your people telling you when you were a kid it was evil, whatever it is for you, it's going to open up.
Right. And working with a mentor that knows their stuff, that resonates with you.
And that's the important part.
Yes. Helps you to fine tune your own unique mediumship.
For instance, I used my mediumship in a natural, random kind of way for over 30 years.
As a natural medium.
Because I didn't know about tiger training.
Yes.
I didn't know, until I got serious and decided to get formal training. So I had been seeking formal training my whole life. Like a lot of you heard my story, I went to the library, checked out everything, but still that wasn't a conclusive system.
And it wasn't quite there.
Right. And so I decided to get formal training at that, point later in my life, and which increased the speed of the unfolding 10 times.
Right. And that formal training, that's one of the reasons that we created what we have, because there isn't really any really good formal training that understands the foundation, that builds on that,
Well, I had a hard time finding it growing up. I was seeking it, but I had a hard time finding it. And you guys are a lot luckier because I had to go to the library. Now you've got this internet thing that you can kind of research and find your things, right? So we want to know, here's our poll for the day. Right. Where are you now in your life?
Are you a hobby, or are you a hobby?
Are you a hobby?
Are you a hobbyist, or are you a professional?
Where are you in your mediumship? Are you still kind of going around like I was for the first 30 years, like randomly picking up pieces?
Hobby? Is this something that you do for fun? Or are you a professional already and you're looking to expand? Let us know in the comments which one you are, hobbyist or pro.
I like to know these things.
We all like to know. Inquiring minds.
So let's talk about tip number 3, which is always practice with emotional clarity.
This is the biggest part of your work that is going to alleviate so much overwhelm.
And I think this is a thing that gets so overlooked, and this is why we focus in our training programs with the balance of both, because they toggle back and forth, right? So your emotional state affects your work.
Clear your emotions and you clear your work. Not only that, you become more efficient with your energy and with the energy of spirit.
When you practice mediumship, kind of untrained.
In a glass case of emotion.
Just giving a moment for the drama queen.
Yes.
You may not be a very clear channel, even with the best intentions. Like, I would never go to David for a session if he was doing that. So if you were having an emotional crisis, make your inner work a priority. Step back.
Is the best thing that you can do to build your skills is to do the self-growth element.
So an example, a trained pro is going to have a pretty good balance and foundation with emotions, and you know where your emotions are, because this is important in mediumship, to know where your emotions are, because in any kind of mediumship, you're dealing with emotions of other people. You're dealing with your client's emotions, spirit emotions, all sorts of emotions.
And you know what your baseline is. You also will recognize when or if your emotions are getting in the way and affecting your work. You have what we call emotional awareness.
I think this is really important in mediumship when you go from hobby to pro. Because a lot of times when you're in the hobby, and I've done it, I've been the drama queen medium.
It's overwhelming.
Right. And you're like, partly because we see it on TV and we think it has to look that way.
Right.
And admittedly, it's just there. So I think when you get to a certain balance and you know your emotions, like when my dad passed away a couple months ago, I took a few days off. We didn't see clients for a couple of days, but then I was still in the grief, obviously, of my dad passing, but I really felt like I wanted to work. But because I have a really clear idea of where my emotions are, I worked anyway, and it actually amplified my work because I put aside my human grief emotions over here because I knew what was mine, and brought the spiritual element into it, which is like, I feel really close and connected to my dad right now because he was really close on the other side. And so that kind of actually amplified the work for a couple of days. Was like really magical.
And the thing is, when you reach that point in your own self-growth and your own emotional work, you have the ability to take your emotions, even if they might be tumultuous in a moment, if you're working, and put them to the side, because you know the difference. You know when your stuff is going to get in the way, and if it's too overwhelming, you take the time off.
Yeah, and that's what, for me, doing this for 11 years as a pro.
But knowing the difference.
I was like, okay, I know, David, that you need to block the schedule for a couple of days. We didn't do YouTube videos. We didn't do anything. We're like, nothing. Let's hibernate. And then I was like, no, you know what? I need to tap back in.
And we knew when it was time to go back online.
And I was in the middle of it, but I felt like I really need to stay connected because it feels good.
And it was kind of the same thing when your mom passed. It was the same thing when my mom passed. We took the time off that we needed, and we also knew when it was going to get in the way and when we were clear to work again.
But a lot of times we see people that don't know the difference. So at the end of the day, we are human, and all mediums, need permission to be human. And here's what I see.
Absolutely.
I find that untrained mediums think it has to look a certain way. They put some kind of crazy pressure on themselves, like they can't be affected by human stuff the same way that normal, non-medium human people are.
That is absolutely insane.
And this is crazy.
Right? But the key is self-awareness. Okay? None of this is anything to be ashamed of. Human emotions are nothing to be ashamed of. But it takes wisdom to know the difference.
So knowing when you aren't going to be a clear channel because of your emotions is the key. And it's just kind of like, you know what, I need some me time, and then stepping back to do your own emotional work.
Right. So we see a lot of natural mediums who don't do the emotional work insert a little too much of their personal drama into their readings,
but without realizing it.
Yeah.
And so there's no fault on this. It's just you don't realize it until you start to do, you build the concrete foundation, you do all the work. So
one of our colleagues calls this lazy mediumship.
I love that. She was like, I'm like, oh, that's kind of what it is.
Yep.
We've all done the lazy mediumship thing, right? So basically check yourself before you wreck yourself.
It's a constant evolution to self-mastery. Denise says, pretty new and lacking the confidence, has been tough, still working on myself first.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Denise, there's going to come a time where you've built up enough of your self-work where you're ready to start dipping your toe in, maybe doing a little practice before you go pro.
You don't have to be perfect.
No, you don't have to have all of your shit cleared before you start working.
Understanding where it's gonna rise up and interfere with work once you become pro. Because once you do, you're still gonna unravel your own human emotions because you're on your own journey.
Yes.
And so I commend you is the word I'm looking for acknowledging yourself and going, okay, I gotta work on this. And it's worth it.
Yeah, so, and Ginger says, not quite a pro, a work in progress. We are all a work in progress, pro or not. And that goes with the evolution thing.
That is our credit spiel for today. We wanted to kind of answer some general questions that were asked quite often about mediumship development.
Yes.
When do I get to do the stuff? I'm like, well, before you put furniture in the house.
Build the house.
You got to build the house.
Build the house. And then you can paint it, and then you can do all the cool things.
Then it's a lifetime gift for you.
Mm-hmm. Once you build the foundation, then you can do anything you want. You can change the style of whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's mediumship, whether it's energy work, whatever it happens to be. You can always change the paint. You can change the decoration. You can move the furniture around if you want. But build the foundation first. So we want to know, are you more excited now that you have these tips? It is a revolution. We are fighting back against lost fairies and unicorns running amok, wreaking havoc.
We do love them both, but sometimes they drink too much love and light and puke rainbow frosting all over the carpet. And we do want to shout out one of our Zen Heads for life, Stephanie, who shared her experience with us on the Google machine.
Hashtag Zen Head for life.
She says, I watched one of your YouTube videos and was impressed by your authenticity, knowledge, and experience. I found the support of like-minded people. Each message or comment is given attention and never ignored. There is value in what you're receiving. You will have the best resource for development.
Stephanie is actually a pro, and she's continuing to level up her skills and step into more of her pro-ness. So she's decided to take her stuff to a whole new level, and it's wonderful having people like this in the group. It is wonderful having people like this supporting the newbies or the hobbyists or the people who are just starting to work on maybe their emotional skills. So having these kinds of people, and Omar and Lords, you guys know how amazing it is to have that support system. Now it is time for that offer to take your metaphysical business from hobby to pro, from basic to bodacious, but only if it works for you.
Yeah, I don't think we're trying
from pro to even better pro.
De-level you. We're up the level. So
from pro to hella pro.
Hella pro. We've learned that self-growth and developing your superpowers go together like sushi, Sapporo, and sake.
So good. And that is why we created our signature subscription membership, Zen Ed Academy, to bridge that gap. So we want to know if this is right for you.
So are you tired of mediumship advice that is way too complicated?
Are you tired of my personal favorite? People telling you that the intuitive arts are satanic. Do it.
Are you tired of people? It's not a buffalo. Satan is not a buffalo. So are you tired of people telling you that light workers and healers are all crazy?
You heard it here first. Satan is Tatanka.
He's not a buffalo.
He's a goat. Are you ready for
Intuitive development without judgment.
Are you ready for psychic and mediumship training that does not scare the crap out of you? If so, Zen Ed Academy is the rebel base. Gotta love the rebel base, where the revolution begins.
I figure if I bop my head back and forth, that'll be a good accompaniment to
It'll
David's
work.
beatbox.
It's almost
like,
tambourine.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing tambourine.
No. Omar says, yes, the support system of the ZRG Academy is great. So what do you need to do to get into the Academy and become part of the revolution?
Yeah.
All the info is down below. If you like this video, hit that like button 5 times.
Or shake your tambourine. We'll hear it.
Hit the like button.
If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. That's where we get ideas for new videos for you.
And for more mind hacking pro
Be
tips,
sure to subscribe.
and clickety-click the bell to turn notifications on.
So you're the first to know.
When we drop a new video.
Or go live.
And we know that time is a valuable and precious resource, and the fact that you guys have chosen to spend that with us, we absolutely honor and appreciate that. But most importantly, to level up your skills, your life, and your business and take it to a completely new level, we absolutely honor and appreciate that even more. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
See you in the next video.